So many of y'all are running your mouths but not actually saying anything, and that's what's so upsetting to me.
Give me your ways. You don't know what to do with it. Give me your wig. Give me your wig.
So make sure if you like this video, you check out patreon.com/AdrianExpression. I recently did a podcast episode over there entitled Busted Badass to talk about some of the issues that I'm going to speak about in this video. But this video is going to focus on different people who had different things to say about it, because they definitely started opening their mouth more after I published that fucking podcast and after Boosie opened his mouth, unfortunately. So before I get into anything, I just want everyone to understand that it seems like a lot of people have so much to say when people come out as trans. A lot of people have so much to say when kids say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, this is how these are the pronouns that I prefer, or maybe they come out in regards to their sexuality, and I want to pinpoint the fact that gender and sexuality are two different things. I know that may be difficult for a lot of people to understand, but it's not surprising that they don't, because oftentimes, just like this time, people run their mouths without doing any sort of research. And so here I am having to put two and two together for y'all pre-K built asses. You know what I mean? Instead of y'all just hopping on the Google and doing some research. So it seems like a lot of people, they have so much to say when someone says, hey, I'm living my truth. But when trans women are being killed, no one has anything to say about that. Or everyone's just hush hush. Nobody hops up as quickly as they do to, lift their leg up like a bunch of dogs and take a piss on LGBT people. People hop up quickly to do that, but they don't hop up quickly to stand up for the trans women, for the black trans women especially, who are often killed. And it makes no sense for y'all to be around here talking about you're here for Black Lives Matter when black trans lives, black LGBT lives in general are being cut the fuck short. This is coming from The Griot. The tragic fact here is that black trans as well as gender non-conforming women are being killed in the United States by black cis men to such a degree that it is nearly the worst emergency for trans women on the planet. America has the highest number of trans murders in the world, with the exception of just two countries, and that is Brazil and Mexico. This is coming from transrespect.org from a 2018 press release. And I'm gonna go even further. This is coming from the Human Rights Campaign. This year's, and they're talking about 2019, this year's annual report found that since the start of the year, at least 22 transgender and gender non-conforming people have been killed in the United States. All but one were black. Since January 2013, the HRC Human Rights Campaign has documented more than 150 transgender and gender non-conforming people who were victims of fatal violence, and at least 127 were transgender and gender non-conforming people of color. So when I see all of that, and then I see you all coming up here on social media with y'all celebrity, Boosie, Young Thug over here tweeting that dumb shit even though he deleted it, Soraya, Tiana from Empire over here talking shit. Like when I see y'all over here, making such bold statements without doing any type of research, or making statements and using that same type of rhetoric, it leads to the rejection, discrimination against, and killing of black trans women. It's just like, I want y'all to shut the fuck up, okay? Boosie first talking about, oh my God, don't cut a dick off, don't cut a dick off, up here, and it's just like, when did Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union even bring up the concept of gender reassignment surgery? They never said anything about that shit. So I'm wondering why y'all in this 12-year-old's pants. What's going on? You know what I mean? Don't cut it off. And then Soraya up here talking about, oh well, you can't make a decision that's just so permanent, so permanent. Who brought up body parts but y'all weird asses? You see what I'm saying? Do you see how creepy that shit is? When Zaya said, hey, these are my pronouns, this is who I am. That's all Zaya said, right? And then here y'all come talking about body parts. Who brought that shit up? This is coming from the New York Times. While there are no laws regarding the age a person must be to receive sex change, hormones, or surgery, insurers have generally refused to cover minors, even though some doctors see benefits in treating children before they hit puberty, right? Okay, that's the first thing. This is coming from Vox. For medical professionals who consult with parents on gender, the goal is to gauge whether a child's behavior indicates gender dysphoria, gender nonconformity, or early experimentation. Dwyane, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Aaron Saft, Director of Mental Health at UCSF, Benioff Children's Hospital's Child and Adolescent Gender Center said parents and doctors should watch for consistency, persistence, insistence, and history of gender nonconformity, which can be evaluated early on to tell if a child is trans. But above all, she said parents should foster a supportive environment that lets kids drive the process of establishing their own identity. Do you see how many factors are involved with the decision making? Do you see how many conversations you're gonna have to have with a kid who comes out as trans? Do you see how complicated this shit can be? And here y'all go jump into body parts. We didn't even get to that shit yet. And then for y'all to be coming up online making such uninformed, idiotic statements that and all they're doing is serving to further demonize the goddamn trans community. You see what I'm saying? We can even read further from Vox. Not everyone who is transgender prioritizes or desires procedures such as hormone therapy and gender affirming surgeries required for a full medical transition. While some undergo medical transitions for cosmetic, psychological, or health reasons, many won't because they can't afford it, face some other obstacle, or simply don't want to. So the topic is so complicated. The topic is nuanced. The topic requires conversations between the family, between the Wade family. The conversation requires a certain level of maturity. It requires a trust between a parent and the child. Do you see what I'm saying? So for y'all to dumb this shit down to something like body parts is so disingenuous, it's so immature, and it shows your lack of education on the subject in general. So what I'm saying is, instead of telling people how to raise their children, Boosie, when your ass was over here talking about how you gonna give or you're gonna pay some sex worker to give your minor child, you know, some type of sexual activity, and that's giving me very much sexual assault and rape type of tease. We're not taking parental advice from your ass, Boosie. That's just one thing, okay? So instead of talking about Soraya, you like, oh, well, I think that we should focus on different things. We need to focus on different, like, what do you like to do? What movies do you like to watch? Are you into art? We shouldn't be focused on gender and all this stuff. Yeah, it's really rich coming from somebody who does not have to deal with these types of issues. Of course your ass don't have to focus on it if your ass is viewed as the norm. We would like to focus on these types of things if y'all wouldn't diminish us to genitalia or diminish us to just our sexuality and then demonize us because of that. So it's easy for you to say just focus on different things when your whole existence is not being called into fucking question by random ass strangers on the internet who don't even give a fuck about your mental health, because if they did, they wouldn't be on the internet saying this type of shit about your ass. You see what I'm saying? Young Thug over here tweeting, the one thing I have to say to Dwyane Wade's kid is God don't make mistakes, but just live your life. And it's just like, I want everyone, especially just because I'm part of the black community, especially my members of the black community, to understand that not everybody believe in y'all sky daddy. Not everybody believe in God don't make mistakes, especially when we're looking out at the world and what's happening in 2020. Not everybody believe in some benevolent dictator who flooded y'all out and who's burning y'all up and stuff like that. Not everybody believes in that, okay? So you keep that bullshit over there. And it's very interesting how the only times some people will whip out their Santa Claus imaginary friend, the only time they'll do that is when it's time to take a huge shit on the LGBT community, because in every other part of their lives, they ain't living no holy life. You know what I mean? So everybody should just shut the fuck up. That's what should happen. Everybody should shut the fuck up until they take their ass and do some goddamn research instead of telling Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union how to fucking raise their kid. Y'all haven't even done the fucking work on the research. So now we got LGBT kids being raised by some of y'all who's saying this type of dumb shit. And then, it would scare y'all if y'all did some type of research, especially when it comes to the suicide rate and the mental health, hardships that black LGBT youth are facing. If y'all actually did the research instead of running y'all mouth without no type of education, if you did the research, you would see how scary it is. The fact that black LGBT youth are taking their own lives, okay? And y'all's conversation, the way that y'all speaking, is not helping anybody. So all I'm saying is that while everybody like Boosie and all their asses, and I saw a video of Boosie Pantry talking about he feeding his kids, that shit was stacked up with like donuts and shit. While y'all are over here fumbling your own relationships, interpersonal relationships, while y'all own kids can't trust you to tell you how they feel, tell you their true feelings, and then y'all wonder why they don't want to come back home or why they don't confide in you, while y'all over here having completely distorted relationships with y'all family members and with y'all children, you don't need to speak up about what Gabrielle Union and Dwyane Wade are doing with their kids, especially when you don't even have a complete grasp on the relationship with your own kids. Because if you did, you wouldn't be up here saying that shit. You would not. It's one thing to not understand something, to be new to something, to be like, girl, I don't know what is going on. But it's another thing to see how Dwyane Wade is trying to learn about his child and care about this child. And Gabrielle Union is doing the same thing. To see that joy and happiness and love, even if you don't understand what's going on, and to be hateful because of that shit, and to be not minding your goddamn business and speaking on what they should and should not be doing. And then even on top of that, y'all focus on people's body parts when they didn't invite you in their pants. All they did was give you a couple words, some pronouns or some shit. You know what I mean? That shit is weird, especially when this is the only time y'all talk about the LGBT community. It's when it's time to say, I hate that shit. I don't agree with that shit. Y'all weird, y'all are abnormal. That's the only time. I mean, motherfuckers dying, trans women getting killed, black LGBT youth are literally taking their own lives, and y'all ain't saying shit about that. It's just real hush hush. But then when somebody come out with a crop top on, or wearing some heels, when a nigga wearing some heels, or when somebody say, hey, these are my pronouns, that's when we hear y'all mouth. That's when we hear y'all mouth. That's the only time we hear y'all mouth. Y'all are disingenuous, y'all are homophobic, y'all are transphobic, and the very rhetoric that you're using today will lead to the deaths. It will lead to the discrimination of the black lives that y'all over here pretending to care about. Okay? So for everybody, I want you to do your research. I want you to mind your goddamn business. I want you to stay out of LGBT people pants. Okay? Unless they invite your ass there to have a conversation about it, which in this case, the Wades did not ask your ass shit. And I also want you to care about your own goddamn kids who probably can't even trust you to talk about shit. They can't even confide in you because you out here online saying dumb shit like this, okay? How can kids know what they want? Y'all only say that shit when the kid is not straight or when the kid is not cis. That's it. I want y'all to grow a brain, okay? Because some of y'all foreheads are too big, they're too thick and wide for you not to have anything lodged inside there, okay? And on that note, I want you to have a good goddamn evening.